The aviator glasses are a tribute to you and Maverick.
Yes, because aviator glasses look great on everybody. I mean, that's just the fact. That's just a part of being an American. Yeah, you got to wear them. Yeah.
Otherwise,
and you look outstanding. I mean, you look fantastic, Stephanie.
Oh,
I just want to say, you look just great. I mean, I'm always amazed. Yeah, especially with the aviators.
Little Marty Feldmanized, little.
Oh, stop it!
Little Picasso, little something. Okay.
Well, I'll wait and see when the glasses come off. I'll reserve some of that. Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Stephanie, people under 50 don't know who Marty Feldman was.
Well.
These are Chris. These are instructional jokes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Passing along a bit of history.
Google
at the same
Marty
time.
Feldman.
Thank you. Anyway, they're the only ones I can see through. Otherwise, I would have read Jan Schakowsky's tweets to you. Oh, okay. No, I've got it. So, just give us your general impression of yesterday.
Oh well, not surprised at all. As much as I'm enraged by the stories that were told yesterday about the physical intimidation, shoving into people's homes and things like that, the phone calls, the obvious racism that was confronted by Shea and Lady Ruby, just outrageous, but at the same time not surprising. The Republicans have been leading us down this road for years. I've been tracking the personal nature of Republican attack dogs for going back into the George W. Bush administration. I mean, if you look at how Jesse Waters on Fox News Channel, for example, made a name for himself on that network, was confronting what I consider to be non-combatants, people who don't participate in the political debate, who don't have media training. And his whole shtick was to confront those people in their driveways or at their place of business, or high school principals, teachers, educators, where he was stalking and confronting them on camera. One of the most atrocious examples of that is when he went around, I think it was Union Station in New York City, harassing homeless people who clearly had
I remember.
substance abuse problems.
You used to talk about that all the time. But you tweeted, Trump used the Office of the Presidency to do it, adding volume and danger to it. And I love that you tag teamed with Rude Pundit, who said one of the most repellent things that Trump did as president was attack ordinary people by name. It's pure brute aggression. He's a pile of... Thank you. That needs to be flushed into the sewer with the rest of the... I think, as I've mentioned, Donald Trump has made me mean, and it's stuck, and I can't get rid of it now. But I don't think I've felt exactly the level of anger that I felt yesterday. Because you're right, it all brought it home. That you're like, when you listen to the tapes of Giuliani and Trump personally targeting, and just like the racism just flowing out, really, right? Like, the heroin addicts, and scammers, the vote scam artists, hustlers. It was like, oh my God.
Right.
Yeah.
And the shame of it too is, and I know that Charlie Pierce was making, the elected officials, they get some form of protection. Like, they're going to be guarded by the state police or whatever. Where you have election workers like Shea and Lady Ruby, they don't get protection. They're just, bureaucrats, basically, who have either volunteered or made this as part of their career to do this, to do something that is immensely patriotic, to facilitate democracy. I think it's an admirable thing to do, because I can tell you, the money isn't great. These are not prestigious jobs, and they don't have that kind of protection. So they're vulnerable to these weirdos who think it's now time to go to war against anyone they disagree with. Yeah.
Listening to Shea Moss, Bob, I mean, having all of us having just been through 2.5 years pretty much of lockdown, it's almost like they've been sentenced to lifetimes of COVID lockdown. It was heartbreaking to listen to her. Like what a lot of us went through in lockdown. I've gained 60 pounds. I don't feel safe going anywhere. Can't go out. But that's what I mean. Do we have that? Her talking about first of all, speaking of, give me 12. Just speaking of racist threats, this one, oh my God.
Yes, a lot of threats, wishing death upon me, telling me that I'll be in jail with my mother, and saying things like, "Be glad it's 2020 and not 1920."
Were a lot of these threats and vile comments racist in nature?
A lot of them were racist. A lot of them were just hateful. But yes, sir.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
just heartbreaking. The whole, just talking about that she's afraid to go anywhere. She's going to go to the supermarket with her mother. She's afraid to have her, and how about her mother? Ruby saying, I don't wear the T-shirts anymore. I'm afraid to say my name anywhere. I mean, it's, but just this last one, Shea Moss.
Ms. Moss, how has this experience of being targeted by the former president and his allies affected your life?
It's turned my life upside down. I no longer give out my business card. I don't transfer calls. I don't want anyone knowing my name. I don't want to go anywhere with my mom because she might yell my name out over the grocery aisle or something. I don't go to the grocery store at all. I haven't been anywhere at all. I've gained about 60 pounds. I just don't do nothing anymore. I don't want to go anywhere. I second guess everything that I do. It's affecting my life in a major way, in every way, all because of lies, for me doing my job.
I mean, Bob, it does remind me of being sentenced to COVID lockdown for life, but with the extra threat of someone might also shoot you if you leave the house, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And this is all a continuation of something, as I was saying before, where the Republicans have been leading toward this kind of behavior for some time now. I mean, going back, God, it must be 10 years, 12 years, Michelle Malkin going around stalking Graham Frost because this kid who, appeared in a healthcare commercial, it's just, so we have to go and we have to harass them and attack them personally and make their life miserable because because we disagree with what they say about politics. It's the same with that Eric Greitens TV video that was just released, where he once again is illustrating this point that we've seen in so many Republican campaign ads, where they show you how to literally shoot your political opponent or the issue or thing that you disagree with. The solution from them that they're telegraphing to their followers is, if you disagree with that piece of legislation, don't bother using democracy, words and votes to defeat it. You just shoot it. Just shoot that thing. So this is the in-your-face climate that we're headed toward, and I'm afraid my fear is that it's going to erupt into sectarian violence here, and that's going to be the disaster.
Yeah, you had a number of dead-on tweets about this, Bob. You said so he's a psychopath, which means he'll be extremely popular with Republican voters. You said Eric Greitens has been making ejaculatory machine gun videos for many election cycles, which you point to. This wasn't the first. And then you said, Jesus.
Stephanie Miller.
Oh, pardon me, that wasn't it. You said... Jesus H. Christ. In case you're still wondering why we have a gun violence problem, here's another political leader telling his fanboys that democracy is about shooting your political opponents. I mean, in this case, they're turning on each other. This is rhinos. So get your rhino hunting permit. This is, them threatening to shoot Adam Kinzinger's 5-month-old. I mean, I just, there's no law apparently.
I wish I had something more hopeful to say about all of this, because we're really headed into dark, dangerous territory where the political debate in this country is becoming so personal, so in your face, to the point where people are barging in other people's homes and, accosting people in restaurants and calling them on the phone around the clock in the middle of the night, leaving messages, attacking their families. This is not how you do democracy. This is not how democracy is supposed to work. Democracy is supposed to be a battle of words and votes. Whoever has the best words gets the most votes, and then they get to be in power for a while.
Wasn't that what Schiff said yesterday? Like, this is all you have left. It will be, violence to figure out who's going to be our leaders if this is how we're going to roll. And you, by the way, you had a good tweet. You said, let's all take a lesson from Shea Moss and Ruby Freeman. We should never target people in their homes or anywhere beyond the normal political platforms. No more attacks in restaurants on personal phone numbers, etc. We need to remain firmly planted on the high ground. This is... go ahead.
It's also personal, I think, for me, and obviously none of what I'm about to say.
I know this story. Go ahead, but
it comes anywhere close to Shea Moss or Ruby Freeman or Rusty Bowers or any of the other witnesses from yesterday. But not only has Kimberly been harassed on the telephone by people, by Trump supporters, by Republicans who disagree with her, calling her. I'm sure you've gotten all kinds. I can't even imagine your inbox.
I just keep calling, going, is your refrigerator running? Is you and Bob
Right.
Cesca in there?
Yeah.
But the other thing is, an Alex Jones supporter showed up at my dad's house, knocking on his door.
Yes.
Got through several layers of security to get there, thinking that my dad was me because my dad and I have the same name.
Yeah.
So there's a personal in your face thing that's happening now that needs to be. There needs to be something that cools that down. Otherwise, as I said, we're headed for not a civil war where there's a rebellion against the government. We're headed for a style of civil war that looks like something that you would see in Lebanon or in Israel. It was sectarian violence, clashes between people.
That's why we have to claim the sane portion of the electorate.
Yeah.
Because they are turning on each other. I mean, they are turning on what they see as rhinos or moderates or centrists or anybody that even talks about sensible gun legislation. We have to take back the very sane majority in this country and say,
And the sad thing is, the sad thing is, the initial target is going to be people who are already oppressed in some way. Black people, you're going to get women, obviously trans people are going to be targets too. There's going to be this. Yeah. I don't know, culture war where it's actually a hot culture war in a sense. Yeah. And that's the worst case scenario. And I'm not saying that's actually that's definitely going to happen, but we're not on a positive road right now. Yeah. We're kind of on that road.
What we were just talking about, a bipartisan group of senators overcame some last-minute hurdles, released a legislative text yesterday on a narrow set of provisions for gun violence, including the red flag laws and enhanced background checks. For Chris Murphy said, we are closing the boyfriend loophole. I allow myself to be a little hopeful, but on Twitter, someone tweeted, I hate these micro penis open carry holes who I think they're like Wild West heroes. The first thing Wyatt Earp did to clean up and bring law that nearly all those famous Western towns ban firearms inside city limits. It wasn't always honored, but still. I mean, thank you.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Wild West, right?
Right. I mean, I'm going to celebrate when I see 10 Republicans vote for cloture, when the time comes. Yeah. And times where, I mentioned last week, Manchin Toomey back in 2013, right after Sandy Hook. Yep. You had a bipartisan piece of legislation. It was really, at the time, given the tragedy that had happened at Sandy Hook, it was the least they could do without doing nothing. That piece of it was just expanded background, closing some loopholes. And that was filibustered by the Republicans, despite Pat Toomey's co-authorship of that amendment. So when we get to that phase, when they have ended the filibuster with a vote, and 10 Republicans have voted with the Democrats to move on and have a floor vote on the legislation, then we'll cheer that this is a positive move.
Quick, the whole Stephen Colbert thing. You just said Fox News is still deeply confused by the difference between comedy and a violent attempt to occupy Congress and assassinate members.
God.
Can I just say they're not confused, and you know that.
Oh, I know.
They know.
I know.
That's why it makes
doing.
it more despicable what they're doing, right?
Yeah. They're trolling. They're conflating. They're dragging down the catastrophic nature of that insurrection by comparing it to Robert Smigel and Triumph the Insult Comic Dog. Yeah. Walking around. Yeah, it's okay. We're saying that what we witnessed on January 6th, this is what Fox News is saying. January 6th is kind of the same as a rubber dog puppet that goes around telling jokes at the expense of, I mean, it's the most ridiculous thing. But the fact of the matter is, the dumbasses who watch that show are going, it's the same. It's why are the Democrats invading the Capitol? What's going on there?
Let's get to my favorite tweet of yours, because it was about
Stephanie Miller.
You said, as a frequent wearer of aviator sunglasses myself, I approve of Stephanie Miller's on-air look this week. Thank you, Bob Cesca. I am Bob Cesca approved.
That's right.
I don't look as cool as he does. He looks like a super pissed off bouncer.
As long as you don't wear the round lenses, you'll be fine.
Shut up, I like the brown ones. Okay.
But those look really good.
It's a no-lose. You can't lose with aviators. I'm telling you. Anyone can put on a pair of aviators, and they're going to look spectacular.
Speaking like Joe Biden, by the way, can we talk as fellow bicyclists?
Yeah.
You tweeted about this too.
Yes,
oh, shut
please.
up. You're, all of everything Trump did this week, and but look over there. Joe Biden fell off his bike. There's two kinds of people that fell off their bike and people that don't ride bikes. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
How many times have you gotten your toe caught in either your clip or toe basket
Right.
or whatever. Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm 30 years younger than Joe Biden. And just last summer, I mean, you want to talk about like a cascading series of disasters. I was going uphill, my chain locked up. I couldn't get my foot out of the clipless pedal in time. So I was at a standstill and just went and fell over sideways.
And that is a tree that you can hear when it falls because it's 6'5". Are you 6'5"?
Yeah, 6'4". But I land in the grass. I get Lyme disease from the tick that got on me from landing in the grass. So it was like boom, 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 all these things happening at once. And you know what? That's not the first time. I mean, not Lyme disease aside. I have fallen over at a standstill at least 2 or 3 times. I'm just standing there.
And I go, how many times?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah, you just tip over, and it happens. It happens. And he had the toe clip. He didn't have the clipless pedals like you and I have, Stephanie.
Right.
He's got kind of that thing that you slide your foot into. It's kind of like a little cage on the pedal.
Cage. Yeah, it's even harder.
Yeah. And he couldn't get his foot out in time. Like every bike rider, like every professional cyclist in the Tour de France peloton has done that at one point or another.
Yes. By the way, and I love like everybody found the biggest, fattest pictures of Trump they could find. Just said, let's talk about this on a bike before we talk about anything else.
Yeah. When he sits around the bike, he sits around the bike.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It would completely get absorbed into his body, like the blob is what would happen. It would just be, you wouldn't see the bike at all. You just like maybe the bottoms of the wheels
Just
a little bit.
Bottom of the
it would
wheel.
be hilarious.
All right, we're super long. Oh my God. I have aviators on and he's like, land the plane.
We can see the reflection in the
Love
glasses. Yes.